Shalom. All praise and honor and glory to Yahweh, Bashem, Yahushua, Bashem, Karkadash. Double honors to the elder apostle Ray Millstone, inside Yeshua can teach all truth and sincerity. Um, this video is going to be called Rule Your Spirit. I'm going to start this off in Proverbs chapter 16, verse 32. It says, He that is slow to anger is better than the mighty. And he that ruleth his spirit than he that taketh a city. So if you're slow to anger, it says you're better than the mighty. And if he ruleth his spirit, and he that ruleth his spirit is than he that taketh a city. So if you rule your spirit, or you stay basically spiritual, like you don't get carnal in every situation. You try to be spiritual. Um, it's like basically if you slow to anger, you're better than the mighty, and if you rule your spirit, then he that taketh the city. So if you rule your spirit, you stay spiritual and try to keep it spiritual, not carnal. You're basically better than him that he that taketh the city. You know. My next scripture I was gonna get is Proverbs 25 and verse 28. It's Proverbs 25 and verse 28. So like it's Proverbs 25 verse 28. It says, He that have no rule over his own spirit is like a city that is broken down without walls. So if you don't rule your own spirit, it says you're like a city that is broken down without walls. So anyone can jab at you and get to you. But if you ruled your spirit and you stayed spiritual, anything anybody say at you, they couldn't, they can fuck with you basically, or no, Salaki. They couldn't really mess with you. Yeah, they, like anything, like, like we out there on the line, um, like we're out there on the line. I personally don't like when a person comes up in my space. Like if I'm talking to a person and they're like standing right in front of me, and they're standing right in front of me a little bit back, um, I'm cool with that. You can come a little close. I'm cool with that. But if you start coming up to me and touching me and trying to touch my scriptures, and you just totally just coming up to me and just um doing things out of the ordinary, I I feel like anybody, including myself, have a right to defend themselves, have a right to check you right then and there, because that's not okay. Like if I was there calmly telling you the scriptures, I wasn't cursing you out, I was calmly telling you the scriptures, and you didn't still get it, and then I tell you get up the street, or if I tell you to stand there and just listen. Listen what I gotta say. Don't say nothing, just listen. And if you still didn't do that, I'll tell you get up the street. But if you still want to stay there and listen, just listen. But honestly, I'm just saying, like, to honestly rule your spirit, keep it spiritual, but also basically we're not no choir boys. If a person does something out of the ordinary, coming up to us with like coming in our space, and we told them to stay back and they still don't do it, that's the time to, you know, you know, start. That's the time to come up and use self defense. But if the person is being a demon and they continue being a demon and they don't get it and they don't want to hear it, tell them to get up the street. If they don't get up the street and they continue being antagonized, you can put up a curse against them. If they don't go in the curses up against them, and you continue putting the curses up against them, and they still stand there, I would just move. from my spot, or I just continue reading and I read over them. But after a while, I'm not going to, start none unless the person started first. Like that's just me, cause I look at like if we ain't throwing hands at each other, I see no point of me trying to fight this person unless they touch me. If they ain't touch me, they just being a demon. I just read over them or I move a little down, and that way. And if they move down that way, I'm like, I wouldn't. But anyway, all I can say, if a man don't have rule over his own spirit, that means he's being carnal. But if you have rule of your spirit, you're you'll be if you're slow to anger, you'll be better than the mighty. And if you're rule your spirit, you'll be better than he that can take a city. But if you don't rule over your spirit, you're being carnal. Because this warfare is spiritual, not carnal. We're supposed to keep it always spiritual. Even in folly. You know. So anyway, this is Ephesians. It's Ephesians chapter 6 verse 12 says, "For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places." So we're going through this spiritual battle. We're in a spiritual battle, spiritual warfare. We wrestle against demons in high places, and demons come to us, come to the prophets when we're on the highways and byways, especially when it's hot. Demons are out there, roaming around, circling, and waiting for you to react to everything they do. But if you don't react to what they do and what they're doing, then they'll leave. Because everybody likes attention, especially these 2/3 and these different people out here in these streets. They love attention. If you give them attention, that's going to antagonize and make the situation more bigger than it was. If you ignore them and continue teaching, and because if they don't ask a question, I don't see the point of addressing them. Like, I don't. If they are not asking a question, I don't see the point of addressing anybody. You know. You know. Um. That's why I'm like, when I see certain people come by, I'm like, if they stand there for 5 minutes, didn't ask no question, I see no point of addressing it. I ignore. That's what I feel sometimes. But anyway, Salakia. But anyway, back to the scripture is, this is a spiritual warfare, and um, we wrestle against demons in high places, and demons come right to us sometimes. And we can't be carnal. We gotta rule our spirit. We gotta make sure that we're staying spiritual in the entire thing. And unless someone physically comes up and tries to, touch us, then we, cause like, what if, I'm honestly say the example, what if a child came up to you and touched you? It'd be different if a kid came up to me and touched me. I wouldn't get carnal with a little kid, or a young kid, or young Jake. He just came up to your domain and was like, you weren't paying attention, and he just came up and touched your hand. Sure, I would say, get back, brother, get back. You can stand right there. It'd be cool. But if he didn't get back, maybe he didn't understand something. I don't know. Slocky. But in certain situations, I see. Well, every situation you gotta be spiritual. Every situation you gotta spiritual. You gotta rule out spirits. You can't be carnal. It's a spiritual warfare. This is First Corinthians. No, 2 Corinthians. Salaki. 2 Corinthians chapter 10 and verse 4. The 2 Corinthians chapter 10 verse 4 says, For the weapons of our warfare are not carnal, but mighty through the Most High to the pulling down of strongholds. So our weapons of our warfare are not carnal. It's a spiritual warfare. It says casting down imaginations, every high thing that exalted itself against the knowledge of the Most High, and bring into captivity every thought to the obedience of Hamashiach. So this is spiritual warfare. Like the elder Malcolm has said, um, instead of we're out here to edify mostly. So if we ignore a lot of things, well, not ignore everything, but if the demons come, let's continue to definitely teach, definitely to continue in the lesson on the line, and stay spiritual on the line, and don't get carnal, and don't like when a person asks a question, answer the question and get back to the the lesson that we were in. Always make sure we go back to what we were teaching before the question came. My next scripture I was gonna get is the last one I was gonna get is Romans chapter 8 and verse 6. It's Romans chapter 8 verse 6. It says, "For to be carnally minded is death, but to be spiritually minded is life and peace." So to be in that carnal mind state is death. Is being like in the congregation of the dead. But to be spiritually minded is life and peace. So staying in that spiritual mind state, it's a peaceful state of mind. It says, verse 7, "Because the carnal mind is enmity against the Most High, for it is not subject to the law of the Most High, neither it indeed can be." So being carnally minded is death. It's against Yahweh Shem Yahushai, law, statutes, commandments. We, I include myself. Even though I fairly rule my anger is okay. I rule that very well, but in but my spirit, spiritually, I need to Lord do more to get more involved, and that's honest truth, and so I can be more of a help than I am. But to be carnally minded is death. The carnal mind is against Yahweh Shem Yahushai. Um, it's all about balance. You got to balance out everything, especially even when even with the carnal things, even with the spiritual things, you gotta be balanced in everything. Um, so I'm gonna say all praise and glory to Yahweh Bashim Yahshua Bashim Kakadash Daban Still out of the Apostle Great Millstone. And salutation you I can teach all truth and sincerity in Shalom.